Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
Welcome to Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner on 12 Ounce Sports. I would like to say good morning to everyone except for the city of Philadelphia, their Eagles, and their entire fan base. This is not a good morning for that town and that sports city, because right in front of me, I have an Eagles hat, which I happen to find in my room, and I happen to have a trash bag, which is sitting right in front of me. What I would like to do before I start the show today is I'm going to toss this Eagles hat, put it in this trash bag right now, and leave it in there for the entire hour, just to remind myself and the entire sports world how trash the Philadelphia Eagles are for tanking last night and for being so disgraceful and disrespectful for the integrity of the game of football. And this is how I'm starting my 133rd show today. And New York Giants fans and everyone else around the sports world has every right to be upset. And ladies and gentlemen, we are live, and I hope you all had a wonderful week. And otherwise, we are live on 12 Ounce Sports. Use 12 Ounce Sports, all cash with deposit bonus up to $1,000 for MyBookie. And let me just say this, the Eagles tanked that game last night. But I would like to congratulate the Washington football team on winning the NFC East. At least your fan base deserves this. I know a couple of Washington fans. They're very fun to talk to. They don't boast. They don't rub it in. They're not hostile like Philadelphia is. Because I know from my days talking to Capitals fans and Nationals fans and Wizards fans, let me just say that fan base deserves to be in the playoffs. Let me just say this. I am downright disgusted that the Eagles care more about draft positioning than they actually do about winning. The Eagles players are ticked off. Doug Peterson, Howie Roseman, Jeff Fleury should all be ashamed of themselves. That is a poverty franchise, and I would like to apologize to Carson Wentz. And I've been critical of Carson Wentz. I thought he was washed, he was done. No. Howie Roseman, Doug Peterson failed him. And now Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz should go reunite with Frank Wright in Indianapolis and give him the middle finger. And the NFL this morning needs to dock the Philadelphia Eagles first round pick and find them. Because that was a national embarrassment on television. That's not integrity. That is ruining the game of football. J.J. Watt and the Houston Texans gave it their all, just fell short against the Tennessee Titans. Pittsburgh rested a couple of key stars, but they played to win the game against the Cleveland Browns. Buffalo Bills knocked out the Miami Dolphins. So you tell me you hate the New York Giants more than you hate losing. That is utterly, and I cannot stand that Philadelphia fan base, and I will say on this show, I despise their fan base. I despise the Eagles, and I really thought I could never hate the Philadelphia Eagles more than the Dallas Cowboys, but here we are this morning, me saying this on this radio show. And no, I don't give a bleeping rip what you Philadelphia and your low-life fan base thinks. I do not give a rip what you think. And I know this is one of my hashtag no filter Glenn takes. And Washington fans, I probably will talk to a couple of them sometime later in the week, or sometime even today, and they'll understand where I'm coming from. And some Philadelphia fans couldn't just care less and just say, screw you, you New York Giants fans. But yeah, you were 6-10, probably deserve the playoffs. But there's a difference between that, and there's a difference between not having any grace and class. I'm sorry. The Philadelphia Eagles, and I cannot wait for the New York Giants to blow those clowns out 40-0 in both games next year. Cannot pencil that down, but I will not make it a Sharpie out of it. I'm sorry to the Washington football team and their fan base that I had to lead off like this. I apologize to Washington. I wanted to really start off this morning with congratulating you and winning the NFC East. But that's not the story. The story is the Philadelphia Eagles and their clownliness is the sole reason why I'm talking about them more than you guys. And every analyst who doesn't think that the Eagles intentionally lost that game should automatically be stripped of their credentials because they have no idea what they're talking about. No idea what they're talking about whatsoever. And for the people that praised the Eagles, said that they were tanking and knew this was obviously the intentionally losing, give yourselves a round of applause for knowing that this was the case. Give yourselves a round of applause for that one. And yeah, I might be going off emotion this morning, but everything I'm saying is also true. Carson Wentz deserves better, and he's going to go to Frank Reich in Indianapolis next year. And the Giants circle that game, and the Giants cannot wait the next time they play the Eagles. And if I were the New York Giants, if next year these are the same Week 17 matchups and the Eagles didn't get a playoffs and the Giants win, the Giants should do the same exact thing. Karma's the B word. That's what I say. And 9-6 draft spot, really? That's what you care about? Going from the 9th pick to the 6th pick. You're not getting Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. You're a disgrace of an organization. You're a clown show. Philadelphia is utter trash, and this is why I have the Eagles hat in the trash bag that I have sitting right next to me. And this is why I needed this prop on this show this morning. And I wish I had video camera right now to show every single one of you how I feel. Oh, there's a New York Giants hat sitting right next to me. Wonder why I didn't put that in the trash bag. Oh, because maybe, yeah, they went 6-10, but maybe they don't deserve to go in the trash bag because they didn't intentionally lose. That's why, and show what kind of clowns they are not. This is probably the most epic rant you probably have ever heard on my show. But I hope it all woke you up, because that's the tone I had to set with today. And if you think I'm the only one disgusted, you are 100% wrong. This show has gotten the lightning jolt it needed. And I apologize to my close friends and the Eagles fans, but it had to be said on this show. And you know I don't hold back on a lot of things. And this was one of them. And it's time for the NFL to go to an NFL draft lottery. Get rid of this tanking nonsense. The Jacksonville Jaguars get lucky. Next year, instituted immediately. Because this cannot go on. And the NFL can no longer schedule Sunday night football games like this in Week 17. They must next year in a situation at them the same time. And they must be stripped the draft picks and fines. That's what I would say. I strip their first round pick this year and next year and fine them. Send a loud message. Call me whatever you want, Eagles fans. Call me whatever you want. But any other 30 teams in the fan base would like the New York Giants would have my back. Except for you clowns, because you obviously laugh and want to give them the middle finger because you have no class and integrity about anything. Oh, look at me, I'm the Eagles. Good grief. Could not have happened to a more worse than poverty franchise, and I hope you all go 0-16 next year. Now let me get into the game recap. In the 2014 win for Washington over Philly, here are the stats on the back. And I would like to congratulate Alex Smith and Ron Rivera for winning the division for all the tough obstacles they've had to overcome. Alex Smith, 22 of 32 passes for 162 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Antonio Gibson, 75 yards rushing on 19 carries, 6 yards rushing, 6 yards receiving on 1 carry, on one reception. Peyton Barber, 4 for 10. Rushing Cam Sims, 5 for 43. Receiving Terry McLaurin, 7 for 40. And a touchdown. Logan Thomas, 3 for 37 and a touchdown. J.D. McKissick had 2 carries, no yards rushing, but caught 5 for 30. Steven Sims, 18 yards rushing, 1 carry, 1 for 6 receiving. Now, Jalen Hurts gets pulled for the game. He doesn't understand that. I just went on the rant. I'm done with that. 7-20, 72 yards and an interception. 34 yards rushing on 8 carries and 2 touchdowns. Nate Sudfeld, 5 of 12, 32 yards, 1 interception. Greg Ward completed a pass for 15 yards, 1 for 6 receiving. Boston Scott, 65 yards rushing on 15 carries and 2 of 14 receiving. Jason Huntley, 2 of 5 rushing. Corey Clement, 1 of 1 rushing, 1 of 7 receiving. J. Arcega-Whiteside, 2 for 40. Zach Ertz, 3 of 16. Travis Fulgham, 1 of 15. Jalen Reagor, 1 of 15. Quez Watkins, 1 for 6. Now let me get into the angelic team in the NFC East. The New York Giants against the Dallas Cowboys, and the Giants knocked out. This was a positive, and this means that they're heading in the right direction, knocking out Dallas Cowboys 23-19. Crazy sequences. Number 1 is 23-19. Leonard Williams pressures Andy Dalton, picked off by Xavier McKinney. Number 2, Wayne Gallman fumbles. Thought it was recovered by Dallas. I guess the butt fumble recovery, but there was a clear fumble recovery on the replay by Wayne Gallman. Daniel Jones, I thought, played his best game of the year yesterday. Judge and Jones hugged it out. Uncertainty with the future. General Manager Dave Gettleman, there are rumors that he will stay in the front office, but it will be a senior advisor role, which means they will want a new general manager to be with Joe Judge. They need a ton of offense. I like their defense heading into next year. And the Giants are heading in the right direction. I think this win is a culture changer for the Giants. Gives them positive heading in the right direction. As I've said, you're going to circle that game against the Philadelphia Eagles. I know it got chippy against the Dallas Cowboys yesterday, but you know what? After yesterday, I think the Giants are going to appreciate the Dallas Cowboys even more after that. Look, they still hate them, but they could probably... New York Giants and Dallas Cowboys should just... Fan base, their team, and all of them should probably just go to a bar in Texas or something. And have a fun talk saying, how trash are those Eagles? That should just be their talk in the bar. So Daniel Jones, heart be heart sold the New York Giants, and he will be moving forward. They're committed to him, and they're going to be getting Saquon Barkley back next year. So again, 2 receivers on the outside. Drafted Devonta Smith, Alabama, or Jamar Chase from LSU. They might even draft Jalen Waddle from Alabama or Rashad Bateman from Minnesota. I would like to see a second running back. I know I like Wayne Gallman, but... And then also you got to get rid of Evan Ingram, the tight end. He's not very good. 12 of Daniel Jones' interceptions this year. Half of them, 6, was because Evan Ingram dropped passes. Okay? The New York Giants have a positive future. The offensive line's better. Defense is better. And the uncertainty offense coordinator, Jason Garrett. Now, I know Jones kind of regressed this year, but let's see what happens with the full offseason. Let's get him some weapons and let's see what happens. Because I think the Giants... I really thought they were going to win the NFC East, even though it was 6-10. I predicted them to win the NFC East. But, what can you do? And the Giants, yeah, I guess you have nothing to blame but themselves. But I'm really really wondering when the Giants play the Eagles next year. That game's going to be circled. And I'm going to say this. The New York Giants, you know what they're going to do all offseason? Joe Judge, the first thing he's doing the second OTA arrives is they're going to recognize, practice, realize, sniff out every defensive and offensive formation by the Philadelphia Eagles and practice it until it's down cold in their sleep. You can take that one to the bank. I've seen that done with high schools before, in high school football, with losing to rival teams and practicing that stuff until you get it down, you beat them the next year. That's going to happen with the Giants next year when they play the Eagles. They got respect for Dallas and Washington after that. But they don't got any more respect for Philadelphia after that one. And neither should the Giants or their fan base. And I was hot and livid about it last night. But I guarantee you when I text some Cowboys fans later today, we're both going to be in holding hands. You know the old phrase, singing Kumbaya and all that other fun stuff. And it's just like, yeah. So how about those Eagles really trashing it? So that's what that comes down to. As for Dallas, you got to fix that defense. Maybe fire defensive coordinator Mike Nolan. Andy Dalton, I don't know what the future is with him. You got to sign Dak Prescott. If I was the Cowboys, maybe sign a GM. So the New York Giants took down the Dallas Cowboys by a final score of 23-19. As I've said about the end of game sequences. Daniel Jones, 17 of 25 passes, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 reception. He also rushed for 17 yards and 9 carries. Wayne Gallman Jr., 65 yards rushing on 11 carries. Sterling Shepard, 8 for 112 and a touchdown, 24 yards rushing on 2 carries and a touchdown. Dante Pettis, 2 for 43 and a touchdown. Slayton, 2 for 22. Evan Ingram caught 2 passes for 17 yards receiving. Andy Dalton completed 29 of 47 passes for 243 yards and 1 interception. He also rushed for 48 yards on 7 carries. Ezekiel Elliott rushed for 42 yards on 14 carries and a touchdown. He also caught 3 passes for 19 yards receiving. Tony Pollard, 5 for 15 rushing. He also caught 3 for 18. Dalton Schultz, 7 passes for 70 yards receiving. Michael Gallup, 4 for 49. CeeDee Lamb, 5 for 43. He also rushed for 3 yards and 1 carry. Amari Cooper, 6 for 41. Seth Wilson, 1 for 3. Okay, on to my next topic. Bucketball, 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 and bucketball. How about that drop-it dime by Ryan Tannehill to A.J. Brown that set up the game-winning 37-yard doink by Steve Sloman to give the Tennessee Titans the AFC South title for the first time since 2008. This offense is the second most fun offense to watch right behind the Kansas City Chiefs. You run the football with Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis. And I knew the Tennessee Titans had 3 timeouts when the game was tied after Kamir Fanban drilled a 51-yard field goal with 18 seconds remaining. And that was a perfect throw and a perfect catch. And let me tell you something. The Tennessee Titans, once again, are going to be written off heading into these playoffs. The Tennessee Titans are going to be slept on, which is fine by them. And ladies and gentlemen, this morning, the Buffalo Bills, and I'll get to them later, are the most overhyped team heading into the playoffs. The Tennessee Titans, in my opinion, is the second favorite team to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. But Glenn, the Buffalo Bills have Josh Allen. The Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson are hot. The Pittsburgh Steelers have TJ Watt in that defense. But the Tennessee Titans don't have a defense. Calm down, everyone. Calm down. Listen to me. Why the Tennessee Titans are the second favorites. The Tennessee Titans were in the AFC Championship game last year. That's number 1. Number 2. Mike Vrabel is the head coach, and let's not pretend that he hasn't been in these situations before. Mike Vrabel knows a thing or two about winning Super Bowls and also getting there when he was a player with Bill Belichick. And he's got a calm composure on that sideline for the Tennessee Titans. Number 4, Derrick Henry is someone you don't want to face. Oh, another thing. The Tennessee Titans have had the Baltimore Ravens number, and Lamar Jackson, it's now time for Lamar Jackson to do something. Maybe he will choke again in the playoffs. Why else will Tennessee maybe the second favorites? Oh, Pittsburgh's defense isn't what it used to be. And Roethlisberger, and they also got no running game. Why the Buffalo Bills aren't the second favorite? Oh, they can't stop the run. And let's see how Josh Allen bounced back in the playoffs. Ryan Tannehill, other than Ben Roethlisberger and Patrick Mahomes, is the third best quarterback when it comes to playoff experience. I want to get that out of the way. I wanted to say when it comes to playoff experience. Why do I say that? Because Tannehill won 2 playoff games last year, and they gave the Chiefs a fight for a half until it got away in the fourth quarter. And you all probably want to smack me around this morning for saying the Tennessee Titans are the second favorites in the AFC to get to the Super Bowl. Y'all are probably laughing at me. But I've stuck with this all year, and I'm not backing down, although it doesn't look too good with the way the playoffs are pictured out. With Tennessee and Kansas City meeting the AFC Championship game, maybe potentially in the divisional round. But that's okay. I'll be right about that in that meeting into the playoffs. But I'm telling you, I think if the Titans and the Chiefs make it, if they play each other in the AFC divisional round, the winner of that game will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. And I will write that down this morning. If Tennessee and Kansas City play in the divisional round, the winner of that game goes to the Super Bowl. It's not going to be Buffalo. It's not going to be Pittsburgh. It's not going to be Indianapolis. It's not going to be Cleveland. And I don't think it's going to be Baltimore. It's going to be Tennessee or Kansas City in the AFC in the Super Bowl. And stop trying to say to me they got no defense. This is an offensive league. You think the Kansas City Chiefs are all that great on defense? Get the heck out of here, no. No, they're not that good on defense. Yeah, you got Chris Jones and Tyrann Mathieu, but your secondary stinks from the S to the K. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Tennessee Titans, I think, are the 2 favorites to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. And I'm not changing that. So, and Derrick Henry, also for the 8th time in NFL history, rushed for over 2,000 yards. Here we go. So, Ryan Tannehill completed 18 of 27 passes for 260 yards and 1 touchdown. He also rushed for 38 yards and 7 carries and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry rushed for 250 yards on 34 carries and 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown caught 10 passes for 151 yards and 1 touchdown. Corey Davis caught 5 passes for 39 yards receiving. He did have a couple of key drops, but he made a huge reception on a 3rd down. I have no idea how he caught that. Anthony Firkser, 2 for 18. Johnny Smith, 1 for 8. Deshaun Watson completed 28 of 39 passes for 365 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 reception. He also rushed for 12 yards and 3 carries. David Johnson rushed for 84 yards and 12 carries and a touchdown. He also caught 3 passes for 36 yards receiving. Brandon Cooks, 11 for 166 and 2 touchdowns. Kike Kute caught 6 for 90. Pharaoh Brown, 5 for 48 and a touchdown. Steven Mitchell, 1 for 8. Chad Henson, 2 for 16. Jordan Akins, 1 for 9. Next up, Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. The Green Bay Packers took down the Chicago Bears by a final score of 35-16. Aaron Rodgers completed 19 of 24 passes for 240 yards, 4 touchdowns. He also rushed for 4 yards and 1 carry. Aaron Jones rushed for 42 yards and 11 carries and a touchdown. 4 for 43 receiving. Jamal Williams, 26 yards and 5 carries. You didn't see much of A.J. Dillon in this football game. Marquez Valdez-Scantling caught 2 passes for 87 yards receiving a touchdown. Devontae Adams caught 6 passes for 46 yards receiving a touchdown. Robert Tonyan caught 2 passes for 18 yards receiving a touchdown. Alan Lazard caught 2 passes for 13 yards receiving. Dominic Daphne caught a 13-yard touchdown reception second quarter for the Green Bay Packers. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC. Mitchell Trubisky completed 33 of 42 passes, 252 yards and 1 interception. He also rushed for 4 carries on 22 yards rushing. Cordell Patterson, 18 yards rushing on 4 carries. Darnell Mooney, 11 for 93. Dan Montgomery rushed for 69 yards on 22 carries and a touchdown. He also caught 9 passes for 63 yards receiving. Cole Kmet, 7 for 41 yards receiving. Allen Robinson, the second, 2 for 37. Anthony Miller, 2 for 13. Jimmy Graham, 2 for 5. And even though the Arizona Cardinals lost to the Los Angeles Rams and the Chicago Bears lost, Chicago is the 7th and final playoff spot in the NFC. All right. Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. So the Buffalo Bills took down the Miami Dolphins by a final score of 56-26. Buffalo will be the number 2 seed in the AFC. Will Miami draft a quarterback? They're not so into Tagovailoa. Here's the thing. You had the number 3 pick. You're probably not going to get it again because from the Houston Texans. They also got 2 1s and 2 2s. Do you draft Justin Fields of Ohio State or Zach Wilson of BYU? Or do you get Jalen Waddle of Alabama or Devonta Smith of Alabama? I'm curious to see what route the Dolphins go. Had they had Ryan Fitzpatrick yesterday, that would have been interesting. Because the Dolphins lost and the Colts won, the Dolphins are sent packing, but they are right on track with their rebuild in their future. I personally think they're going to I personally think this is the Buffalo Bills' chance to do anything because maybe in the long, I think the short term Buffalo's better. In the long run, I think Miami might be, as long as they can deal what's going on with the quarterback situation. So, Josh Allen completed 18 of 25 passes for 224 yards, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. He also rushed for 3 yards on 2 carries. Matt Barkley completed 6 of 13 passes for 164 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Antonio Williams, a rookie, rushed for 63 yards and 12 carries and 2 touchdowns. He also caught 1 pass for 20 yards receiving. Gabriel Davis, 2 for 107 and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs, 7 for 76. John Brown, 4 for 72 and a touchdown. Isaiah McKenzie caught 6 passes for 65 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. He also returned upon 84 yards for a touchdown second quarter. Josh Norman, 16-yard pick 6 and returned for a touchdown third quarter for Buffalo Bills. Up to Tagovailoa, and they desperately missed Ryan Fitzpatrick in this football game. Tua Tagovailoa completed 35 of 58 passes for 361 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. He also rushed for 28 yards on 6 carries. Lynn Bowden completed 1 pass for 32 yards. He also caught 8 passes for 44 yards receiving. Salvin Ahmed rushed for 29 yards on 6 carries and a touchdown. Myles Gaskin rushed for 20 yards on 7 carries and a touchdown. He also caught 4 passes for 57 yards receiving. Devontae Parker caught 7 passes for 116 yards receiving. Mike Gesicki, 5 for 47. Isaiah Ford, 3 for 37. Malcolm Perry caught a 25-yard touchdown reception for Miami Dolphins football game in the 4th quarter. So moving on from the Miami Dolphins and Buffalo Bills segment, congratulations to the Cleveland Browns for making it to the playoffs for the first time since 2002. The Cleveland Browns will play the Pittsburgh Steelers next weekend. And Pittsburgh fans like, we're gonna beat the Browns easily. They only beat us by 2 with Mason Rudolph and Joshua Dobbs. Just imagine what's gonna happen. Calm down a little bit, Pittsburgh. I understand you want to knock off Cleveland. I get it. I mean, I'm used to be hard on your fan base, but I'm not gonna be today because at least you guys understand culture and winning, unlike Because you know what I'm going to say? The west side of Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh, will always be better than the east side in Philadelphia. Because that's the truth. So, Baker Mayfield rushed for a first down, and they completed the victory. So the Cleveland Browns are going to be maybe a tough out for Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh's probably going to find a way to beat them easily. Baker Mayfield completed 17 of 27 passes for 196 yards and 1 touchdown. He also rushed for 44 yards and 6 carries in a 24-22 win for Cleveland over Pittsburgh. Nick Chubb rushed for 108 yards on 14 carries and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt rushed for 37 yards on 10 carries. He also caught 1 pass for 4 yards receiving. Rashard Higgins caught 2 passes for 55 yards receiving. Jarvis Landry caught 5 passes for 51 yards receiving. He also had a 3-yard rushing touchdown. Austin Hooper, 4 for 37 and a touchdown. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 1 for 11. He left the game with an injury and he did not return. Mason Rudolph, 22 of 39 passes for 315 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 reception. I was surprised how well he played. He actually posted on his Instagram after the game yesterday with him and Myles Garrett. Props to him. Showed a ton of grace in class with that one. And that was fun. And he also rushed for 1 yard and 1 carry. Joshua Dobbs completed 4 or 5 passes, 2 yards. He also rushed for 20 yards on 2 carries. He was in for some Wildcat packages. I was surprised they used him a little bit yesterday. James Conner rushed for 37 yards and 9 carries. He also caught 5 passes for 25 yards receiving. Anthony McFarland rushed for 17 yards on 5 carries. Chase Claypool, 5 for 101 and a touchdown. Pittsburgh's got to use him more. I mean, they really have to use him more. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a gem in him. I mean, come on. Deontay Johnson, 3 for 96. Juju Smith-Schuster, 6 for 65 and a touchdown. Vance McDonald, 5 for 33. And these two teams, as I said, will be playing each other again wildcard weekend, and these two teams split the regular season meeting. All right. Next up, what's number 7 on the agenda today is from the later games. Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. It's obvious that the Baltimore Ravens did not want happening to them what happened a few years ago. Mark Jackson, the RP saw the Baltimore Ravens is like, we are not letting an upset-minded Cincinnati team do this to us. The Cincinnati Bengals didn't stand a chance from the starting 38-3 win for the Ravens over the Bengals. And Lamar Jackson is playing his best football, I personally think, of his career. I think that one game sitting out was the best thing that happened to him. Now the pressure turns back on him because here are the narratives. Lamar Jackson can't get it done in the playoffs. He's going to hear that all week. You want to know what you got to do if you're the Ravens to take the pressure off him? Smash mouth the Tennessee Titans in the mouth and go to play action. That's how you're going to beat Tennessee. Smash him right in the mouth. Look at what the Cleveland Browns did to them with that. I mean, here's the thing. Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown are really their only offensive threats in the passing game. Des Bryant's so-so. Got J.K. Dobbins. He's coming along, but Tennessee's actually not bad against the run. Excuse me. So, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards has really been good for the Tennessee Titans, the Baltimore Ravens. Mark Ingram the third, the second, has really seen less carries. And I'm telling you this, the Baltimore Ravens are hot. But they also know that narrative. If the Ravens want to get rid of that Lamar Jackson narrative, they have to at least win this weekend. I'm not saying they got to win the Super Bowl, but they have to win at least this weekend, or there's going to be a lot of things going on, and cornerback Marlon Humphrey, who I'm a huge fan of on his Twitter account, and hoping just one of these days he responds to one of my tweets, is gonna call his team probably choke artists like he did last year. And he knows he doesn't want to do that once again. As they say, DNA, right? That's what the Baltimore Ravens do not want. So just a few years ago, as I was saying, Andy Dalton, that was a touchdown pass for Tyler Boyd that knocked him out of the playoffs on 4th and 12 play. And that really started the Buffalo Bills culture. So here, the Ravens are peaking and they're hot at the right time. Lamar Jackson completed 10 of 18 passes for 113 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also rushed for 11 carries on 97 yards rushing. J.K. Dobbins rushed for 160 yards on 13 carries and 2 touchdowns. Gus Edwards rushed for 60 yards on 12 carries. Mark Ingram rushed for 39 yards on 9 carries. Miles Boykin had a 43-yard touchdown reception in the first quarter. Marquise Brown 5 for 41 and 2 touchdowns. Mark Andrews 4 for 27. Brandon Allen didn't stand a chance really. Completed 6 of 21 passes for 48 yards passing and 2 interceptions. He also rushed for 2 yards on 1 carry. Travion Williams rushed for 74 yards on 4 carries. Samaje Perine rushed for 51 yards on 9 carries. Ethan Carter caught 1 pass for 21 yards receiving. Drew Sample caught 2 passes for 15 yards receiving. Tyler Boyd caught 1 pass for 1 yard receiving. He also rushed for 11 yards on 1 carry. So the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts in a 28-14 win for the Colts over the Jaguars. So the Colts are getting in the playoffs, and they also got some help. Phillip Rivers, his career is not done just yet. Phillip Rivers maybe could win a Super Bowl for Frank Reich, and they have not won a Super Bowl since the days of Peyton Manning. So, Phillip Rivers completed 17 of 27 passes for 164 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jonathan Taylor, and this is why they are going to have a chance next week against the Buffalo Bills. Jonathan Taylor, 253 yards rushing on 30 carries and 2 touchdowns. He also caught 1 pass for 1 yard receiving. Nyheim Hines, 2 for 17 rushing, 6 for 50 receiving. Zach Pascal, 2 for 41 receiving. Michael Pittman, 2 for 28. T.Y. Hilton, 3 for 27 touchdown. Jack Doyle, 3 for 17. And I'm just going to say this. Don't you think the Philadelphia Eagles miss Frank Reich? The offense coordinator, he's more responsible for that Super Bowl than Doug Peterson. Frank Reich is a master architect at calling offensive plays. Frank Reich is the reason why Philadelphia won that Super Bowl more than Doug Peterson. And if Frank Reich makes this team go far, well, what do we have here? That the Indianapolis Colts are better coached than the Eagles. So, as for the Jaguars, they played hard, but they're just not very good. 26 of 42 passes, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike Glennon, 1 for 2 rushing. Dare Ogunbowale, 50 yards rushing on 14 carries, caught 4 passes, 22 yards receiving. Chris Conley, 7 for 87. Lavica Shenault Jr., 6 for 68 and 2 touchdowns. Terry Godwin, 3 for 32. Tyler Eifert, 1 for 10. James O'Shaughnessy, 1 for 10. So, Los Angeles Rams versus Arizona Cardinals. 18-7 win for the Rams over the Cardinals. Rams are in, Cardinals are out. And give credit to John Wolford for replacing Jared Goff. 22 of 38, 231 yards, 1 interception. Yeah, rushed for 56 yards and carries, but the key playing the game was when the Rams were down 7-5. Troy Hill, 84-yard pick 6 in the second quarter. And Kyler Murray got hurt, but Cliff Kingsbury is going to be on the hot seat next year for Arizona. If they don't make the playoffs, he'll be fired. Cam Akers, 34 yards rushing on 21 carries. Caught 4 for 52. Malcolm Brown, 3 for 20 rushing. Van Jefferson, 4 for 50 receiving. Tyler Higbee, 3 for 41. Robert Woods, 4 for 26. Josh Reynolds, 4 for 29. Gerald Everett, 2 for 25. Cooper Kupp also missed his game on the coronavirus list, and we will see if he can even play Saturday. Chris Streveler, 11 of 16, 105 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 reception for Arizona, 3 for 12 rushing. Kyler Murray, 8 of 11 for 87 yards. And then 3 yards rushing on 2 carries. Kenyon Drake, 36 yards rushing on 10 carries, 3 for 15 receiving. Dan Arnold, 3 for 46 receiving. Trent Sheffield, 4 for 44 receiving. DeAndre Hopkins, 4 for 35. Is contained by Jalen Ramsey. Chase Edmonds, 2 for 28 receiving. Keyshawn Johnson, 2 for 13 receiving. Jonathan Ward caught an 11-yard touchdown pass in the first quarter for Arizona. My last game recap for today, and then I will get on to some other NFL topics. Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers. So Seattle won over San Francisco 26-23, and San Francisco fought to the very end. But Seattle will be the number 3 seed. San Francisco played with pride to the very end. They're probably going to lose their defense coordinator, Robert Saleh, to a head coaching gig, and I'll get to those coaching gigs in a minute. So Russell Wilson completed 20 of 36, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 of 29 rushing. Chris Carson, 11 for 44 rushing, 2 for 34 receiving. Alex Collins, 5 for 29 touchdown rushing. Tyler Lockett, 12 for 90 and 2 touchdowns receiving. DK Metcalf, 3 for 21. Will Disley, 1 for 20 receiving. Jacob Hollister, 1 for 6 receiving. CJ Beathard, 25 of 37, 273 yards, 1 touchdown. Rivercraft, he had 2 for 1 receiving. And Beathard also rushed for 10 yards and 3 carries. Jack McKinnon, 1 for 6 receiving. Jeff Wilson Jr., 76 yards rushing and 20 carries. Touchdown, 3 for 11 and touchdown receiving. Richie James, 3 for 66. He played very nice at the wide receiver position. Ross Dwelley had a nice game. 2 for 21. George Kittle, 7 for 68. Kendrick Bourne, 5 for 76. So that really was my game recaps. And that's it for the game recaps regular season edition style. For the 2020 regular season, to be truthful, I have no idea how the NFL made it this far. But now we are just 4 weeks away from completing the entire NFL season. So the Super Bowl to Tampa Bay starts today. There will be 14 teams that prepare for next year, and 18 of them can focus on the 2021 season. So now, use promo code 12ounce sports. All cats with deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. We are live. And as I always do on every show, I would like to thank Cody Jensen and Beck for all the hard work they do, time in and time out, every single day. Thanks for making this station wonderful. Radio, we're growing with listeners, viewers, and followers. Please give us a follow on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, and then our Instagram page. So now, I can finally move on to the next segment of Coaching Carousels. So the Houston Texans are looking for a head coach. The Atlanta Falcons are looking for a head coach. The Detroit Lions are looking for a head coach. The New York Jets are looking for a head coach. And now, the Jacksonville Jaguars are looking for a head coach. That's all I know as of right now. But let's see who else should be fired or will be fired. Let's start in the NFC East. After that embarrassing thing yesterday, Doug Peterson should be fired. But he will not be. And neither will General Manager Howie Roseman. And I already mentioned about General Manager Dave Gettleman for the New York Giants at the start of this show. He's probably going to stay with the Giants in front office as a senior advisor. But he's not going to probably come back as a general manager. He knows how to scout talent. But he's not good as a general manager per se. Next up, let's go to the NFC North. Matt Nagy's going to be back. They made it to the playoffs. Detroit's looking for their coach, as I just said. Looks like the Minnesota Vikings are going to hang on to Mike Zimmer. That's a potential wild card. And obviously the Green Bay Packers will not give him Matt LaFleur. He won 13-3 in his first 2 seasons with Green Bay. NFC South, Matt Rule, they like him in Carolina. Atlanta's looking for someone. They're also looking for a general manager. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bruce Arians, he's safe. New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton, he's safe. Let's go to the NFC West. Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers, he's safe. Sean McVay with the Los Angeles Rams, he's safe. Pete Carroll with the Seattle Seahawks, he's safe. Cliff Kingsbury with the Arizona Cardinals will be on the hot seat starting next season. Next up, in the AFC, the Jets got rid of their coach. Bill Belichick staying in New England. And then the New York Jets, they got rid of Adam Gase. New England Patriots. And also the thing with the Jets is, General Manager Joe Douglas is going to be looking for his head coach. New England Patriots, Bill Belichick. He's got some retooling to do. And he's also the general manager. Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott, he's staying. Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins. He's staying, but they got to figure out the quarterback situation with Tua Tagovailoa. Do they got to draft someone? Ryan Fitzpatrick. Do they bring him back another year? You got Justin Fields of Ohio State or Trevor Lawrence of Clemson. Trevor Lawrence of Clemson or Zach Wilson of BYU. Here's a question that just popped into my mind. The Miami Dolphins have 4 1-2-1-2. Okay. If you are the Miami Dolphins, you're the number 3 pick today. Do you call the Jacksonville Jaguars and ask for you give them both your number 1s this year and your number 2 and 1 second-round pick this year? Would the Miami Dolphins consider using 2 number 1s this year and a number 2 to go get Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars? The Miami Dolphins have the leverage to outclass the New York Jets. They had the picks to do it. The Miami Dolphins have the draft capital to do it. Brian Flores, they have the roster to be Super Bowl caliber with that defense. If you're the Miami Dolphins, Trevor Lawrence, if I was the Miami Dolphins, you give Jacksonville a call. Both of your 1s this year and one of your number 2s this year, get it done and over with. You have the leverage to go get Trevor Lawrence. The Miami Dolphins better knock the door down. And I cannot believe I just thought of that. The Miami Dolphins need to knock and call the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence in a Miami Dolphins uniform would be terrifying for the rest of the NFL. And I'm going to tell you this, they would be the next New England Patriots if they got Trevor Lawrence. You have a Belichick-like head coach in Brian Flores. You have a defense. Trevor Lawrence to the Miami Dolphins would be very interesting. I'm telling you right now, they have the draft leverage to have Trevor Lawrence in the Miami Dolphins next year. I have no idea how that just popped up. Okay, I'm going back to my head coaching thing. Let's go back to the AFC North. Everyone's staying. Ravens, John Harbaugh, Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski. He's changed the culture there. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin. And also the Cincinnati Bengals, Zach Taylor. He's staying for at least another year, but he will be in the hot seat too. They got to win more games for Joe Burrow next year. He's going to be fired. But they got to draft some offensive line help. Now, AFC South. Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts are looking for general managers and head coaches. Next up, Tennessee Titans with Mike Vrabel is safe. Indianapolis Colts with Frank Reich is safe. AFC West. Anthony Lynn, Los Angeles Chargers. He's probably expected to be 5, so that's probably a 16 that I expect to get a head coaching job. to prepare the head opening. Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid, he's not going anywhere, but their offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, is a hot candidate. I think the Vegas Raiders should fire, Las Vegas should fire John Gruden, but he won't. He's still got 7 awful years left on that contract. And last but not least, that's all political and all politics with John Gruden. Now, they fired Jack Del Rio a few years ago now, Washington's defense coordinator on the Washington football team. And then last but not least, the Denver Broncos are keeping Vic Fangio. So here's who I think each team's going to hire. New York Jets. I think they hire offensive coordinator Brian DeBoer from the Buffalo Bills. Atlanta Falcons. I think they're going to college round and going to hire head coach Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma. The Detroit Lions will hire defensive coordinator Robert Saleh from the San Francisco 49ers. The Los Angeles Chargers. Now, this is an interesting name that I am throwing out here. The Chargers will hire either Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Smith or quarterbacks coach of the Kansas City Chiefs Mike Kafka. Those are two. There's always one wild card name every single year we get for head coach, and Mike Kafka is going to be the one. Keep an eye out on his name. So, Jacksonville Jaguars. I've heard Urban Meyer or Ryan Day of Ohio State. Keep an eye on that one. Houston Texans, I think, hire Eric Bieniemy. They're interviewing Jerry Reese for general manager. They're also want to try and get not Eric DeCosta, Ozzie Newsome to try and get back in the front office. He was great with the Baltimore Ravens. Last but not least with today's segments, why each team will win and won't win the Super Bowl. Let's start with the 7th seed Indianapolis Colts in the AFC. Why they will win the Super Bowl. Great running game. They can control the line of scrimmage, play action pass, Phillip Rivers and Jonathan Taylor. And you got T.Y. Hilton. They're well coached by Frank Reich. And they got a solid defensive front with DeForest Buckner. Why they won't win the Super Bowl. The Colts and Phillip Rivers always shows up in the playoffs and chokes and disappears in big games. And they don't have enough playmakers on offense. Next up, number 6 seed Cleveland Browns. Why they will win the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield's playing the best football of his career, and they keep relying on Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And the defensive line gets to the quarterback. Why they won't win the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield fringes in the playoffs, and the defensive backs get torched. Number 5 seed Baltimore Ravens. Why they will win the Super Bowl. They are very powerful in the running game, play action pass Lamar Jackson. He's playing the best football of his career, and John Harbaugh has been in the playoffs before. Why they won't? Because they are the choke artists of the AFC. Lamar Jackson continues with the choke artist narrative. The number 4 seed Tennessee Titans. Why they will win the Super Bowl. Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, the second best, I think, offense in the AFC. Well coached by Mike Vrabel, and they're never out of games, and are the only team in the NFL that has put up 40 points 5 to 6 times this year. Which is more than the Kansas City Chiefs. Why they won't win the Super Bowl? Because their defense stinks from the S to the K. Next up, the number 3 seed Pittsburgh Steelers. Why they will win the Super Bowl. Culture, Ben Roethlisberger, wide receivers, TJ Watt on defense. Why they won't win the Super Bowl. Not enough help on defense and can't get a running game going. And offense coordinator Randy Fetchner is horrible. Number 2, Buffalo Bills. Why they will win the Super Bowl. Josh Allen's playing at an MVP level. Stephon Diggs is the best wide receiver. Probably in the AFC East and maybe in the NFL. And their defense is good enough. Why they won't win the Super Bowl? They cannot stop the run. Josh Allen becomes erratic in the playoffs. And they got to figure out a lot of other things. Kansas City Chiefs, why they will win the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Why they won't win the Super Bowl, they have been in too many close games. And the sloppiness will finally catch up to them. The next one is the NFC. Why the Chicago Bears will win the Super Bowl. Because they have an efficient running game now with Mitchell Trubisky, David Montgomery. They have a decent receiving core with Allen Robinson, the second Darnell Mooney, and Jimmy Graham. But this. But they won't make the Super Bowl because their offense is stagnant and the defense is on the field for too long. Led by Khalil Mack. Next up, number 6 seed. The number 6 seed. The Rams. Why they will win the Super Bowl. Jared Goff in that defense. Why they won't. Jared Goff commits too many turnovers or he cannot play. Number 5 seed, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why they will win the Super Bowl. Tom Brady, and they have a bunch of offensive weapons. Why they won't. They can't run the football and they cannot protect Tom Brady. And the defense gets burned. Number 4, the Washington football team. Why they will win the Super Bowl. Chase Young is an outright beast on the defensive line for Washington. Harper Ansel of the Washington football team. And then he does a lot of things with Grayson class as well. So Washington is one of the best defensive fronts in the NFL. And Alex Smith inspiration. Why they won't. Alex Smith is too injured and they don't have enough offensive weapons. Number 3 seed Seattle. Why they will win. Russell Wilson. Why they won't. 2 relying on him. Number 2 New Orleans Saints. Why they will win. Drew Brees' last hurrah. Why they won't. Drew Brees falters. And number 1 Green Bay Packers. Why they will win. Aaron Rodgers. Why they won't. Because the defense fails them again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner, where you'll enjoy the rest of your day and your week as well. I'll be back on the air at the same time as Thursday. And use promo code 12Ounce Sports. All caps with deposit bonus up to $1,000 for my bookie. I will have Wild Card Weekend preview amongst other things. And it is going to be very interesting to see what happens. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day with everything. And my rants, I hope you all enjoy that as well today. Stay tuned for Thursday.